Hey, welcome to Classic Performance. It's another beautiful day in the Southeast. And if you watched our last upload, we focused on the 911 SC. We did a walk around, and as promised, we're going to do the POV driving video today. It's a beautiful day. We're going to hit the road. And if you notice behind me, we've also got a Carrera 4. And this is the 997 internal designation car. And there's a 30-year difference between these two cars, and we just brought them out here side by side so you can kind of see the similarities. But we are going to do a POV driving video of the 911 SC today. But coming up in a future upload, we're going to take a look at these two cars and do a side-by-side comparison, and you'll be amazed at just how similar they are, considering the 30-year time span difference. So today we're going to hit the road in the 911 SC. Okay, so we're here in the 911, and we just moved it out of the garage. So this is going to be a cold start. I just turned my key on right here, and I'll depress the clutch. And the car fires right up. This car always starts at any temperature, and you notice we're running just about 1400 RPM. And you can see our temperature here is stone cold. We've got our druck press, which is up a little bit higher always when it's cold because that was a little bit thicker. And our oil level is coming up. This oil kind of drains back a little bit as the car sits, and this oil level will eventually refill to full as the car is running in. We're about time for some gas here at some point. So anyway, we'll let it warm up for a second and then hit the road. All right, so I've let the car warm up for just a couple of minutes. You can see we're just about coming down to about 1,000 RPM now. Our temperature's coming off the peg, and our oil tank is refilled back up to about 3/4 of the way, so that's perfect. It's okay to get in these cars when it's cold and just start driving, and that's actually kind of preferred in a way, instead of letting them sit and idle and warm up for a very long time, especially if it's cold out. But I just try to let everything get situated. As soon as that peg comes off there, since it is kind of a cool day, we're ready to go. So you just let the clutch out in this car and it just moves right along very easily. We'll take it easy. We'll go through the gears a little bit, get our transmission warmed up. But even cold, this car shifts beautifully. And I've got the Swepco products in the transaxle, which is kind of preferred in these SCs. So our signal on, we'll check our traffic here. That second gear right there. Third gear. Fourth gear. And right to fifth. So even cold, it shifts very nicely. You know, these 915 transaxles are known to be a little bit finicky compared to the G50s. So we'll put our signal on here. Quick downshift into third to get right on the brakes. Down to second. And I'll probably mention this a couple of times. I do like to kind of double clutch when I downshift. Makes it easier on the synchros, especially when the transmission's cold. Like I said, we'll let the car get up to temperature, and then we'll be a little more liberal with the tachometer and take it up towards the red line. So you can see it's a beautiful fall day out, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a left right up here. So I'll back down to third gear, get my signal on there, and come around this a little more than 90-degree left-hander, and we've got some, come back down to second, we got some twisties here, and our temperature's coming up, so we'll give her the beans a little bit there. You know, this car has a gutted cat. The cat catalytic converter still on here, but it's gutted, so it kind of gives a little more of a raspy sound. I don't know if that's because it's running through those little S's there about 60 miles an hour. The car is incredibly planted, and this car, as I'd mentioned before in the previous video, has been lowered to the European ride height specifications. As you may know, in North America, they were lifted to meet the bumper safety and bumper height regulations of the time. You know, for a 3-liter motor with the CIS injection, this car runs remarkably well. This is not EFI. This is not electronic fuel injection. Runs great, hot or cold. Makes very good power. As I'd mentioned, this car is around the 180 to 204 or 5 mark if it's European in terms of its horsepower. First through fifth gear, and you know, this car just cruises on the highway. We're traveling at just right at 70 miles an hour. We're turning about 2,700 RPM, so you know, nothing's really screaming or winding high. If we increase our speed up to 75 miles an hour, we're turning an even 3,000 RPM. So now we're at 75, we're turning 3,000 RPM. Very comfortable on the interstate. You know, some of these older cars are really not geared for today's traffic, but these 911 SCs, the way they were produced back from 78 to 83, geared very nicely. They do have the 915 transaxle, which isn't as great as the G50 from some of the later Carreras, but still a decent transmission. And I've got the Swepco 202 in here, which really helps it shift very nicely. So that's third gear. We'll gear down a little bit. We got a stop coming up here. And when I'm gearing down in this car, particularly with the 915 transmission, I always like to do a little rev match. Easier on the clutch, easier on the synchros. Fifth there, you really don't even need to use all the gears in this car. Oftentimes I'll do first, third, and fifth, and I can show you that too. We'll go ahead and bring it back down again. We'll go back to third. Yeah, so if you're just driving around town, just lollygagging around, you can go to first, right to third, and I know somebody's going to leave in the comments that I'm lugging the motor too much, and right to fifth. So that's a little demonstration of kind of the gears up and down, and once you get used to shifting one of these cars, it's really quite easy. I remember the first time I drove a 911, an early 911, it took me a little bit to get used to the gear shift, because you do have a long distance to go back to the transaxle with your rod and so forth. So as you may know, this is an air-cooled car, and when you have beautiful fall days like this and the cool weather, that's when I like to drive air-cooled cars. Don't know if it makes a difference, but to me they just seem to run better and be happier. And of course, from the inception, all Porsches were, the 911s were air-cooled, and they continued to be air-cooled all the way up to about 1997, and that's when they became water-cooled. And you might ask, well, why did they stop producing the air-cooled cars? Well, they did that for emissions. These cars, obviously being air-cooled, is very difficult to regulate the engine temperature and keep it right to a specific temperature. So, you know, with tightening emission standards and so forth, these cars ended up being water-cooled. Demonstration of our braking, coming down from about 85-90 miles an hour to just about 10 miles an hour. And when you get on the binders, you hit the brakes on this car, and I didn't hit them excessively hard, it'll bring this car right down from that speed to 10 miles an hour in just a matter of seconds, and without skidding the tires or anything. Of course, this car does not have anti-lock brakes or anything like that on it, so that is just very impressive, especially for a car of this age. You know, so that's the sight and sounds of driving a vintage 1982 911 SC. You really don't want to compare these cars in driving comfort and style to a modern equivalent, but for what it is and its age, it's a very impressive car. If you're considering a 911, the 911 SC is a very good car to consider. I've had great luck with this car. I've driven it everywhere among multiple states, and it's just been really just a pleasure. Very reliable, very robust car, very predictable, and as I like to say, it's just like an old pair of shoes that you just keep putting on. They feel the same and just make you feel good. So that's going to do it for kind of our two-part Porsche 911 SC series. And if you like classic cars, particularly classic Porsches, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you. Hit your notification bell so you'll know when new content's coming out. We've got a lot of great things planned. So anyway, hey, thanks for your time. Thanks for coming along for a ride with us in the 911 SC. Take care and have yourself a great day.